Well, hello there. Did you like that? That was my little version of a pinball machine. It's Greggy Soriano and welcome to another episode of Greggy's Digest. If you're into cake decorating videos and all things baking, please be sure to click on the subscribe button and ring a ding ding that little bell to get notifications every time I post a new video. Speaking of, I haven't seen a pinball machine in so long. They're like extinct, aren't they? Back in the day when I was a kid, I used to go to the arcade, and whenever I would use up all of my money, I just loved going to the pinball machines and pressing the sides and going like that with it. That would, I could do that for hours. Seriously, that was just, fun to me. Comment down below if you've ever played on a pinball machine, or if you're too young to know what a pinball machine is. But that's kind of weird to say. That's so weird. I'm old, seriously. So today I want to talk about inspiration when it comes to cake design. I want to tell you about who I'm inspired by and what I'm inspired by and how I get inspired, and maybe talk about the process that I go through when it comes to getting inspired, and it's all about inspiration. First things first on the list. Is that from something? Is that a song? Is that Iggy Azalea? I think. What happened to her? First things first, I want to talk about people that I'm inspired by. I'm not just inspired by celebrities or famous people or famous artists, but I'm also inspired by random people that I've come across, through my everyday life, or my loved ones, or people that I'm just fascinated with. If I go to the grocery store and I see an old lady with style and she has a beautiful brooch on, or, gorgeous earrings, or amazing bouffant movement in her hair, or, just anything, I just get inspired by that person. And it just makes me think, wow, if that person has that much style, then I could totally translate that into my own personal style and into cake. So yeah, I'm inspired by random people that I'm fascinated by, but I'm also definitely inspired by my favorite cake artists. My favorite cake artists are people like Sullivan. She is amazing. Her work, please Google her work. It's cakepower.com. And her work is so beautiful, very chic, fun, bright colors, not too frilly and extravagant, yet they all make a statement. She does avant-garde work. It's just beautiful, and her cakes look yummy, and I just love a cake artist who does cakes that look yummy but are very artistic at the same time. And I just love Sullivan. She's a great friend of mine, and I've worked for her before, and she's just amazing. She's one of my biggest inspirations. Another one of my inspirations is Rivera. Please look him up. If you're ever in the New York area, please walk over to his cake shop. It's down in a little stoop, on a basement type of stoop, and go into his tiny, cute little shop. It is amazing. He sells half-pound cookies that are huge and heavy, because it's a half pound of goodness all up in your mouth, and I am a huge cookie person. I'm a cookie snob, and his cookies are so good. Oh, and by the way, Benny is one hunkadora. He is one delicious looking piece of Latin meat. He is, I'm sorry, Benny, I love you, but Google him. He has muscles for days. Google him, look at his work. His work is gorgina. He did this one cake where he sculpted a woman's body naked, and it literally did look like a woman's body with tattoos on it, and he is amazing. He literally can sculpt anything and everything, and they look ridiculously realistic, and I just love him. He is one of my idols, even though it's not my cake aesthetic, and I just love his work and his passion behind everything he does. Like, he literally, just take a look at his work. I definitely recommend visiting City Cakes. Whenever you're in the NYC area, please go there, say hi to Benny, and say hi to Mark. Mark is like, he is hot too, by the way. Seriously, just go there for Mark and Benny, because not only are their cookies delicious, but you got eye candy for days in there. But anywhoodle, yeah, go visit them. And another one of my huge inspirations is Maragret Braun. Hold up a sec, let me get her book for ya. This right here is Cakewalk, and my home ec teacher from high school gave this to me when I graduated high school, and she is like one of my very first inspirations. Maragret Braun, she is amazing. Her work is, woo! Seriously, they are timeless, classic pieces of art. Literally. Like, look at that. You can tell this book is a little old because, like, the pages are coming off. No, but seriously, look at that. That is like mosaic tile out of gum paste and pastiage, and it is amazing. Look at that. Like, Baroque style Fabergé realness up in here. I love her work. Please get her book. That is like the #1 thing to do. Like, right after you watch this video, get her book, Cakewalk by Maragret Braun. It is a classic book. I've had this for many years, and I can just look at this book for days. Google Maragret Braun, check out all of her beautiful pieces of artwork. And what I love about her work is that not only is it Baroque style and with tons of frills and curls and lots of painting and mosaic classic art, but what I love about it is that it's in the silhouette of a cake. Like, everything she does is in, it looks like cake, but it's just a gorgeous cake, which I love, and I'm definitely inspired by everything she does. In the book, she talks about piping and how piping is important, and, you know, creating a rhythm when you pipe, and her piping work is gorgeous. Ever since I got that book in high school, it was my mission to perfect all of the scrolls and piping and bead borders and just all the beautiful piping that she does in this book. It was seriously my goal to master it, and throughout the years I just got it, and it took a lot of practice. Seriously, just learning those techniques that I kind of had to teach myself from just looking at all of the amazing inspiration from the book. But just doing that allowed me to do it with my eyes closed, and I just love it, and I love Maragret Braun. I still love her till this day. I was obsessed with her, and I'm still obsessed with her now, and please Google Maragret Braun. She's amazing. She's one of my huge inspirations. And get her book. It's a little pricey. I don't know how much it costs now, but it's kind of pricey back then. Luckily, my home ec teacher got it for me. Thank you, Miss Kendrick. I love you. I miss you. She was like the best teacher, home ec teacher ever. I'm so glad there was a home ec at my school, because I don't know where I'd be today without Mrs. Kendrick. Another one of my huge inspirations is Betty Van Nostrand. Betty Van Nostrand is a remarkable woman. She seriously is like, I'm saying this about everyone I'm mentioning, but literally one of my hugest inspirations as well. I used to take classes from her on the side. Other than going to school at the CIA, I used to go to her house, and she has a basement where she would teach me, oh hell no. Anywho, I used to go into her basement, and she would teach me how to make her signature gum paste flowers. Like, her roses and all of her flowers are beautiful. They are gorgina. Literally, if you look at her rose, it is perfection. They look so lifelike, and I really wanted to learn how to do it, and she is a legend. Seriously, guys, like, not very many people know about her, like right now in today's cake design world, but, Betty Van Nostrand, she is literally a legend. She used to make wedding cakes for like Brides Magazine and all of the wedding magazines pretty much back in the day. And you definitely have to look her up. I don't know if there's anything on her online, but literally she is a cake legend. And when I was in her basement, she had tons of replicas of different things in sugar. So she had a replica of, what was it? It was like, I think it was like the Disney castle. It was some sort of castle. I think it was the Disney castle, but she had it all in sugar, and a ton of gum paste flowers all around her basement, and she's just amazing, and I'm so grateful. Thank you, chef, so much for teaching me everything I know when it comes to gum paste flowers. You are the best. I seriously can't thank you enough. Your signature rose is just like embedded in my head, and I can't thank you enough for teaching me your techniques and everything you knew when it comes to gum paste flowers. If you've seen Ron Ben Israel's flowers, he's amazing. He's one of my inspirations as well. He took classes from her as well. She's been around for a while, and I have no idea what her whereabouts are right now, but thank you so much, Miss Betty Van Nostrand. You are the best. A legend. She also taught classes at the CIA as well. There are so many other amazing cake designers out there that I'm inspired by, and I just love seeing other people's work and learning from them and, you know, getting inspired by their work as well. And one of my current obsessions is this cake designer named Tortik Annuchka. I'm not quite sure if it's a woman or a man, but I've never seen any of their pictures or his or her pictures, but seriously, this person's work is amazing. It's just so current, very modern, and I just love everything about Tortik Annuchka's work right now. It's just amazing. I love how, again, just like many of the cake designers that I'm inspired by, minus Benny Rivera, because he does cakes in the shape of things and he sculpts amazing. He can sculpt anything and everything. But seriously, I love the aesthetic of doing cakes that actually look like cake. And Tortik Annuchka's work is beautiful. There's like tons of texture and movement and the color schemes. And please look up all of the people that I mentioned today in this video. And yeah. I'm not only inspired by other actual cake designers or cake decorators or bakers, but I am also inspired by other types of designers, like architectural designers and home designers, like decorators. I am inspired by fashion designers. I love Yayoi Kusama. Her work is beautiful. Other artists out there, Jeff Koons. I love Philippe Stark, Eero Saarinen. I just love looking at furniture. Just like I've always wanted an Eero Saarinen table with tulip chairs. I just love the look of sleek, beautiful design. And not just sleek design, but also modern, sharp lines and edges. And I look at all those things and I try to translate it into cake. I'm also inspired by physical things. Like whenever I go places, I look at things and I look at the shape of it. I look at the texture, the movement. I can look at the ground and see pebbles. First off, I automatically decide in my head if it's beautiful or not. And there's just this thing that clicks in your head and you're like, whoa, that is gorgina. And if I use this type of color or shade on that texture. So if I see like a bunch of pebbles on the floor, I get inspired by it. And not only by the texture of it, but if I like the grayish or brownish tones or the earth tones on it, or the texture of it, I get inspired by it and I try to translate that onto cake. And I just love the idea of trying to figure out ways to reinterpret that and recreate that onto a cake in an edible way. So I think to myself, should I use royal icing, or should I use chocolate or modeling chocolate or gum paste or pastillage? The sky's the limit when it comes to getting inspired and using different types of media to create the masterpiece that you want to create. Let me try to think who else I'm inspired by. I am inspired by Pearl Fryer. If you've ever seen the documentary, I think it's called A Man Named Pearl, or something about Pearl. Look it up. It's a documentary. I think it was on Netflix before. I watched it many years ago. I can't remember where I've seen it, but I may have seen it in an independent film theater. I think it's called A Man Named Pearl, but his name is Pearl Fryer. Please Google him. He sculpts the most beautiful topiaries in gardens, and he inspires me. I love the passion behind his work. Everyone I mentioned today, I love the passion behind their work. It just, it gives me that boost to say, hey, Greggy, go ahead and do your thing. Create amazing work and just put it out there for people to see. Also, Marina Abramovich, how could I forget her? She's one of my hugest inspirations. She does performance art, which I love, and I love her thought process behind her work and why she does the things she does. I love performance art. I've always, it's one of my bucket list items to participate in. I know it sounds weird, but I've always wanted to participate in a performance art piece. Definitely check out Marina Abramovich's documentary. It's called The Artist is Present, and I literally cried. I've cried over and over, like watching it over and over, and I love her story, and I love why she does the things she does, and she's just a huge inspiration. And James Franco, isn't it? And I've always loved James Franco. I loved him as an actor, and I've always thought he was hot, but after this movie, I was like, it's over. He is my hubby. I love him. I just love how quirky he is. Most people think he's weird now because he's into performance art and a ton of different artistic things, but I really seriously appreciate him even more, and he's even a lot hotter now that I know that he's into stuff like that. And he's just so artistic and an amazing artist, and he's gorgeous, and I just want to marry him. Also, Shia LaBeouf, he's kind of like in that same route too, and I've always thought he was cute, but nobody can compare to James Franco. He is just delish. Other physical things that I'm inspired by is amoebic shapes. I don't know what it is about amoebic shapes. I just love the shape of it. I don't know what it is. I just think it's gorgeous. Anything that is like amoebic shaped, I love it. If there's a piece of blob on the floor, I don't know, I think it's gorgeous. There's this artist, I can't think of her name right now. Let me think. I can't think of her name right now, but here is her work. And once I saw her work on Instagram, I was like, who is that? I need her artwork, and I probably can't afford it because it's probably crazy expensive. I would pay a lot for that, but hopefully one day when I'm rich, I will buy one of her pieces. But gorgeous work. I love the spikes on the slime. I just love the amoebic shape of the slime. I love the movement. I just love the spikes on it. I love how it looks like you want to touch it. I just love this person's work. Oh, I'm also inspired by odd numbers. Whenever I do a cake, I don't mention this, but whenever I do a cake, I always try to make sure there's an odd amount of things on the cake. It will bug the poop out of me if there's an even number of things. So if there were 4 flowers, I would die. I could not leave it with 4 flowers. I need to have 5 flowers on there. Or there needs to be like 3 flowers, and if I were to go even, I would put 2 leaves on it because I need to have like an odd number of things left on the cake. When it comes to design, you should definitely do odd numbers anyway because it just always creates a center and there's balance. So pick 3 things because there's a center to it. When you put things on a table, you want 3 or 5 or 7. You get the gist. An odd number, and it's just more beautiful that way. When you have frames on a wall, if you want to do like even amount of frames, you don't do 6, you do 9. So you do a triptych of, frames to make it look nice and beautiful and even. Sorry. I don't know why I'm gassy today. Another way I like to get inspired is I like to go on fun adventures, and I like to go to TJ Maxx or Home Goods or IKEA and look at all of the prints and the designs, and I like going into the city, going to different windows and seeing all of the beautiful visual displays of all of the huge designer windows, because these visual designers are brilliant. And speaking of, I love going to Anthropologie and getting inspired by different things they do in their windows and inside the visual display inside of their retail shops. If I seriously wasn't a cake designer or a content creator or a chef, I seriously would be a visual designer. I just love the work that they do. I totally appreciate it. I know how much hard work goes into creating all of those beautiful displays and dressing up those mannequins, and it looks like a really fun job. That would be amazing. If I wasn't a baker, I would totally be a visual design artist to do windows. Speaking of visual design, there's this documentary. I forgot what it's called. I think it's like, basically it's the design process behind the windows at Bergdorf. I just loved that movie. I have to watch it again just so that I know who I'm talking about, because this man is amazing. I need to look up his work again because it's so inspirational. I'm going to put it right here. That's the name of the movie. Watch it right now. Whenever you have time, watch this movie because it's just so inspirational. Where was I getting at with this? Oh yeah, I just love going to different stores and going on adventures and even looking at nature, but I'm really inspired by just anything and everything. Also, whenever I get inspired or an idea just pops into my head, I always make sure I jot it down, and I have notebooks like this, and I have a ton of these. I filled up so many of these things. These are the best gifts to give to someone. I mean, who doesn't love a journal? If a store has a bunch of cute journals in there, I have to leave with one, because journals are the greatest things. You could put your thoughts into them and your dreams and your goals, but you could also sketch your ideas onto it, whether writing it down just so that you can remember on what kind of cake you want to do, or if you thought something was beautiful, make sure you just jot it right down, and also draw it and come up with beautiful things and put them into things like this. I also like to digitally sketch my ideas. I use an app called Paper 53, and I've used it for quite a long time, and it's been around for a while, and they have this special pen that looks like this. Hold on. That looks like this, and it's amazing. You could use it with the app. And thank you so much, Jay Qualls. He is another one of my inspirations. He is an amazing cake designer. He does beautiful wedding cakes, and he's been on Martha Stewart magazine, and he is amazing. You know me, I just love me some color, and I love them to be saturated and bright and fun and fresh, but Jay, he is one of my best friends, by the way, and I love him so much. Thank you for this pen. It was like one of the best gifts ever. He does these colors that are simple and fresh and so pretty. I love to do colors that are fun and bright, and I love to do different color combos, but he does these colors that, like, you know, like a sage green or a very simple and pretty lavender. They're just so simple, yet they make a statement, and I just love his work. He's another one of my inspirations, and I love him to death. He's one of my best friends, and I love you, Jay. Any hoodles, so that's basically what I'm inspired by and who I'm inspired by. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment down below and tell me who you're inspired by and what you're inspired by as well, and I guess I'll talk to you later. Bye! Click right on my face to subscribe, click on the video to view my last episode on the right, and get your subscription to Caker's Crate at GreggySoriano.com.